Hello everyone and welcome. Today I got a review of the Sigma 17-70 contemporary lens. So let's get to this. Welcome back everyone. So I have a re-review of the Sigma 17-70 contemporary lens. Now I thought I'd do a re-review of this lens because I've had it about a year now, and I want to give you an honest, opinion of this lens for me actually using it for such a long time. And I've got a few things I'd like to cover, and you might find many of these pretty useful. But let's start with the build quality of this lens. I've heard a lot of people talk about it's just slightly better than kit lens, but that is far from the truth. This lens build quality is phenomenal. It's a top polycarbonate material that what Sigma calls a thermal stable compound. It's extremely, grade A plastic, I guess you could say. Overlooked animals in the background, and it's very well made. The body build of this thing is extremely tight. Like I said, I've pumped about 10,000 shots through this thing, and of course zooming in, zooming out, and once I've had a year, you can still see it's fairly tight. There is a lot of resistance against this, as you can see, there is no zoom creep, which is good because there's no zoom lock on this one, like some lens. Focusing. One thing I noticed about focusing is that infinity mark. If you use that, let me go to manual focus here. One thing, it doesn't have manual override focus at all times. You either have automatic focus or manual focus. There's no override. But if you click it on manual focus, the infinity mark is only accurate at 70 millimeter. If you go down to 17 millimeter, it's more about the 7. Let me see if I got a pencil mark still on here. Actually, yeah, just right above the 7. So if you go to do any kind of landscapes where you're going to be shooting at night or anything, I'd advise you to do what I do, just kind of shoot into the horizon or out to the clouds to furthest distance at the aperture you're going to be using, and where it stops at, just simply mark it for pencil, and that way when you shoot at 17, you know where infinity is at 17. I really wish Sigma would have had dual markings on this for that one reason. When I contacted Sigma about it, the response was that they set all their lenses at the furthest focal distance, which is 70 on this, and that's where they set the infinity mark, which is kind of lame because most people would actually be using this, setting the infinity mark at the widest open distance, which is 17 millimeter. That way they can get for landscapes and nightscapes. Who gives a hoot what infinity is at 70? Nobody's shooting at that, and if you are using auto focus for the most part, or manually focus during the daytime for portraits. So I thought that was just a little silly, but hey, it's a good quality lens. That's about the only real drawback to this lens. Okay, in terms of optical performance, which is probably what most people are looking at, optical performance in this lens is good. In comparison to your newer STM lenses, I'm going to say the 18-55 or the 18-135 Canon STM lens, this is better. It's not huge leaps and jumps, much better, but it is better. And I'm going to explain to you why. At 17 millimeter, the outer edges of the photo, and I'll show you examples at the end of this video, the outer edges of the picture are soft. Now, I'm going to say soft, but they are as good, if not slightly better, than the kit lens, the STM kit lenses I just mentioned. What makes it seem so soft is the fact that the center of the image at 17mm at f2.8 is extremely sharp. So a lot of people, complain, oh, it's just very soft on the outer edges. In reality, it's not softer than any other kit lens. It's just the center is so much sharper that it kind of outweighs it, I guess you could say. Now, that's at 17. By the time you open this thing up to 24, this lens is as sharp as you're going to get until you buy a $2,000 L lens. And even up to 35, this is at say a 35mm f6.3. It's as sharp as most prime lenses, and it's still relatively very good, as not as sharp, but still very, very good at 70. And 70 is still sharper than 17. And I'll show you all the test footage at the end of this video. So in optical performance, that's why this lens doesn't get a higher rating. Is it just very soft on the edges at 17? Like I said, very soft is a relative term. It's still sharper than kit lenses. And at the price, you got to look at this price point. This is about a $450 lens now. Compare this lens to a $1,200 lens, say with the 24-70 from Tamron, and of course the Tamron is better. It's also 3 times the price. You compare the 24-70 from Canon, the f2.8, the L lens. It's $2,000. Again, this is $450. This is probably one of your better, if not, there are some better, but at this focal range, at 17-70, this is probably one of the best lenses that you're going to get under $500 for an APS-C body. Alright, one other thing I think it makes this thing better than a kit lens. The aperture, f2.8 to 4.0. Most kit lenses are 3.5 to 5.6 or 3.5 to 6.3. So, 17-70, 2.8, all the way up to 4.0. It's very good for low light. Alright. Let me cover image stabilizer. The image stabilizer on this lens is pretty good for pictures. I don't think the image stabilizer is very good at all for video. Now, at 17mm, you really can't even notice if you turn image stabilizer on and off, which 17 is still pretty wide, so obviously. But by the time you open her up to 70 and start shooting with it on, you probably wondering if it's off. Although when you do cut it off, you realize quickly that it was working when it was on. How many stops does it give you? I would say 2 at the most. At the most, the image stabilizer gives you 2 stops, but that's it. And to be honest with you, I'm pushing it to say 2. There's no real explanation of what they rate the image stabilizer at this mass. I'd say 2. For photos and stuff, it's a solid 2. For video, I have seen much better image stabilizers in my life. Okay, let's talk about the video usage for it. I just mentioned that the image stabilizer wasn't very good for video, and it really isn't. There are much better lenses out there with much better image stabilizers for video. The Canon STM lenses, if you can get around the fact that they're not, no focus indicators on those STM lenses, they have much better image stabilizer. Another reason I don't like this lens for video, and I'm going to say video if you're using autofocus, and it's really not the sound of the focusing motor, that's irrelevant because you can use external mic, is the internal parts of this have what they call a focus float. So for example, if I have this set at 17 and I'll walk a distance, say 5 feet over or 5 feet up, you may notice this lens may zoom in and zoom out. This is because of the internal focusing, the way it's designed. So if you're using autofocus on this lens, you're probably not going to like it. I don't like the fact that if you move around, the lens kind of focus in, it's really distracting. Much other lenses like the 10 to 22 I use on this camera at the moment, it does not do that. You can walk anywhere in the room, it follows your focus perfectly every time, and it does not hunt. And this one has that hunting action. It's not caused from the camera, it's caused the focus float internally on this. And that's about it. Like I said, overall, 90% of my pictures these days are shot on this lens. This is a very, very good lens. Is it good as an L lens? No. Look at the price point, $450, $1,200 to $2,000. You get what you paid for. And for $450 at the current price on Amazon, this is an excellent, excellent option. And a great lens. The build quality is phenomenal. The picture quality is very, very good. It's better than kit lens. Not as good as L. It's in between. But for the price point, it's not much more than what you would pay for a kit lens. And let me just cover a few things. It is metal. Bayonet there. The filter thread here is 72, so it does take a larger filter thread. You get a nice pinch cap. The back cap's very nice, so it doesn't squeeze on too tight. And it comes with a really decent, lens hood. It's still snapping on quite well. I don't have no problem with this. See, got even a little rubber grip on here. So, for what you get for this lens, you get your money's worth. So, if you're considering this lens and own a Canon, get this lens. It's very, very good. However, on a little investigation I done, a lot of people were complaining the lens was not good at all. And I just could not, from the life of me, understand why this lens isn't good. So I did a little research on DP Review and DxO Labs. And come to find out, if this lens is on, say, a Nikon body, the quality of the photos are actually much worse. It's actually, at best, kit quality as far as image quality. So if you're a Nikon user, I will not recommend this lens. If you're a Canon user, for example, somebody's shooting on a 600D, 700D, or I shoot mostly on a 70D these days, it's a very good lens. Also to note that going by DxO Labs on their testing, this lens actually performs better on the Canon 70D than it does on the Canon 700D, 650, or 600D. So that's something to consider. If you upgrade cameras, this one actually performs better. And like I said, I think this is a great lens to be paired up with Canon 70D if you're not quite yet ready to step into L glass. But keep in mind, folks, you should always spend more on lens than you do your camera body. Unfortunately, sometimes when you're dealing with, for example, a 70D, which is a crop sensor camera, to get a good focal range, sometimes you have to make compromises. 24 to 70 is not a great focal range for a Canon 70D. Even 24 to 105 is still odd for a crop sensor camera. However, the 17 to 70 is the equivalent to 26 to 112 millimeter. This is an ideal focal range for a APS-C camera. And I'm going to get over here and show you some video footage of the lens flare test I done. Also the image stabilizer, you can see the video for that. And also the test photos I took. And show you what the center sharpness is to the outer sharpness. And I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thanks everyone. Hey everyone, I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button down at the bottom. I also have two more of the buttons over here to the side. One's subscribe and one's a link to my webpage. If you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, subscribe is the best way to let me know that you like this type of video content and you'd like to see more. And when you get done, hop on over and check out my website. Until next time everyone, thank you.